Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. In the previous podcast, we had a very special guest, Christopher Knoll, who talked about his new book, Homegrown Monsters, which I highly recommend this book. In this book, he presents a different kind of hypothesis that explains the presence, the alien presence here. According to Christopher Knoll, it's not creatures from other worlds. It's actually creatures that are created by this challenger consciousness that is here with us on this planet right now, that's always been here, that it has a lower density and a higher frequency than human beings, and somehow it's able to just create whatever it wants at will. It could generate like a flying saucer. It could generate the creatures that inhabit a flying saucer, all of it, in some sort of an effort to become more like us. And I think that his hypothesis is great. I think it really is a very interesting hypothesis, and it might be the answer. But here's, I guess, the question is it the answer? Do I think that's the answer? Is that where I'm betting all my money on? No, I don't think it is. I actually do believe that these creatures are coming from other worlds. That's what I believe. That's my position. I could be proven wrong. I'm sure a lot of people in the UFO community think the same way I do, but that doesn't mean that we're right. I do call my show Extraterrestrial Reality, as everyone knows. I'm not going to be changing that title anytime soon. Because I mean, we don't know. I mean, even if the government were to come out tomorrow and say, yeah, we have non-human intelligent recovered craft and bodies, but they're not going to be able to prove, I don't think, that they did come from other planets. That's going to take time, I think, to establish that. Once we get over the hump where everyone knows that there's something here, that we're not alone, right? Then the next step is, okay, where are they coming from? You know, some people will tell you, oh, I think they were here the whole time. Maybe they're living in the bowels of the earth, right? According to Christopher Knoll, no, that's not the case. They're here, but they're just at a different plane than we are. That we can't see them. They're on. It's just what he coins the challenger consciousness. And I'm not sure about that one. I'm just, I think it's a great hypothesis, but I'm still more in the corner of the extraterrestrial hypothesis. That's what I think is responsible for these encounters with creatures that people have had over the years. The encounter, the UFO sightings, all of it. I think it has something to do with creatures, beings coming from other planets, perhaps because their planet is dying out. Now, one of the arguments that Christopher Knoll laid out in that episode, he said that one of the reasons he doesn't think they're from other planets, because he just finds it very fishy that these creatures look like things that are already here. A lot of them have the characteristics of insects, like ants, or reptiles, right, or even us, right? That's like a mixture, right? And that's why he thinks that this challenger consciousness is only capable of creating things that already exist, only exist on this planet. That's why we don't see something more exotic. Like if he believes that if something was coming here from another world, it would not look like anything that we know of here. And that's what he thinks. But I have, in my mind, I think that's wrong. I think that, I mean, you have to think about it. I talk about this. I mentioned this a lot of times in many different podcasts, that there are over 700 quintillion planets in the universe, at least. And when you think about that, that's a tremendous amount of planets. Now, of course, not all of them would be able to harbor life. I mean, obviously, in this solar system in which we are part of, only this planet is capable of harboring that kind of life. Look at the rich life that we find on this planet. It's incredible. Are there other planets out there in the universe, though, beyond this solar system, that are similar to Earth? I mean, similar in gravity, similar in the size. I believe that there are, and I think that it's possible. Heck, he doesn't think that. For instance, like a lot of the reports are, a lot of the creatures reported, they look like insects. And that's why he thinks there's the chances of something developing that looks just like an ant from this planet somewhere else on another planet. He just doesn't buy it. I do buy it, just based on the number of planets out there. You have to remember, over 700 quintillion planets, 1 quintillion equals a million trillions. That's ridiculous. That's an insane amount of planets out there. I mean, there are more planets in the universe than there are grains of sand on this planet. Now think about that. Just look at one beach and just think about all the grains of sand on that one beach. Right? That's nothing compared to the the number of planets there are in the universe. So you have to look at things that way, and that's why I think it is possible that life could easily mimic. I mean, based on just the numbers, based on all these planets out there that we believe are out there, which I think are. I mean, that's what scientists are telling us. I think it's very possible that life that forms on some of these other planets where that are in the kind of Goldilocks zone like Earth, it could look just like what we have here, very similar. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of variations, but why not creatures that look like ants developing someplace else? I don't think that should be a problem whatsoever. So that's why I think it is. What we're dealing with here is a nuts and bolts kind of situation. I think that the craft that they are in are manufactured somewhere, whether some of them are being manufactured here now. I mean, they came here at some point, right? I think they probably are. They probably do have secret bases. They probably, just like we were talking about in a different episode recently, I think there are probably secret bases, probably under the sea, probably, in other places across the world, in mountains. Like some people were saying just recently that there could be some in Arizona. There's a base in Arizona. There could be a base in Nevada. There could be bases scattered throughout this globe, and there could be bases on the moon for all we know. I think that they are here, and they're very secretive for whatever reason, and I think they came here from another world. Now, again, I could be proven wrong, but that doesn't mean that Christopher Noll's hypothesis has no merit, because that could turn out to be the real deal. I mean, that could be the situation. He could be right about that. So I just want to point that out. I think that what we're dealing with here is a nuts and bolts kind of situation. I think that these beings did develop someplace else. I mean, it's possible, like he was talking, if you look at his hypothesis, he was talking about that they are basically avatars that are controlled by this challenger consciousness, right? Well, it's possible that these creatures are avatars of some other intelligence from another world. That's another possibility. There's just so many possibilities, right? But I think what we're dealing with is an intelligence of some form coming from other worlds, and that's where I stand on it right now. If this theory, if that hypothesis is proven wrong in the future, I'm fine with that. Here's the bottom line: is that we know that there's something here. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. No matter what anybody tells you, right? We are not alone, and we have evidence of this. There is some sort of an intelligence here interacting with the human race. There is absolutely no question about it. Whatever it is, we'll find out at some point in the future. All of these hypotheses are interesting and great topics of discussion for sure, and we can't say with certainty which one is the correct one. I can't even say, even though I call my show Extraterrestrial Reality, that could turn out to be wrong in the future, like I say all the time on here. But I think that's what it is, and I think at some point we're going to find that out as a fact. That is going to be proven at some point. We're going to know, probably not in this lifetime, right? But probably not for many, many generations in the future, right? But at some point, the human race will find out that this presence here is from other planets. That's what we're going to find out. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought it was important. I wanted to do a follow-up on that. I thought it was a great discussion. It was actually one of the most interesting episodes I think I've had since I started this podcast over 4 years ago. I think Christopher Noll was a great guest, and I think his ideas were very, very interesting, very, very thought-provoking. And I'm still thinking about it, several days later. I mean, it's still something to talk about. I rolled it around in my head, for the past few days, and I think that he could be right, though. At the same time, I want to point out that I really like his hypothesis, and I got to say, I highly recommend this book, and I'll tell you, I think it's very, very interesting. So again, Homegrown Monsters. If you check this book out, if you have the chance to buy it, I would definitely look into that book, and I highly recommend it because it was a great hypothesis. I'm just saying right here, right now, is that I do think that it is. Even with all of that said, I'm putting my money on other planets, that these things are extraterrestrial. And we'll see as time goes on what the truth is with that. Again, we probably won't know in this lifetime, but we'll see. Generations from now, people will look back on this and say, okay, either Christopher Noll was right or Jim Quirk was right, or there's other hypotheses too, right? There's interdimensional hypotheses, that things come from other dimensions, and all kinds of different ideas about where they're coming from. But the bottom line, what we could say in the here and the now, is that there is no question whatsoever that there is some sort of a non-human intelligent presence here with us. There's just no doubt about it, based on all the evidence that we have. So much so. I mean, so much evidence over the decades. And now we have the evidence of the Las Vegas alien incident, which shows us that there's aliens here. There's something here. We finally see them. We see them for sure. We know when we look at that evidence that there's no other explanation, right? That's NHI. That's the answer. That's what it is, because there is no other answer. That's what it is. Nobody cheated. It was no hoax or anything like that. Everything's been looked at. Everything's been authenticated, so we know for a fact that something's here. The question now becomes, okay, where are they coming from? How do they get here? What is this? What's this all about? That's the question right now. Anyway, I want to move on. I want to get caught up on some of the polls that I've conducted recently. And we're going to go back, start with the, for the episode, recently released Pentagon emails reveal government efforts to gaslight the public about UFOs. I asked this question: will Susan Go ever comment on the Las Vegas alien incident? 31 votes so far. Only 5 people, or 16.1%, say yes, while the majority, 26 people, or 83.9%, say no. I agree with the majority on this. I don't think that Susan Go will ever comment on it. That doesn't mean she won't, though. I mean, let's just put it this way. There's always a chance that she will at some point in the future, should anyone in Congress ever have the audacity to question someone from the Pentagon while they're in a hearing. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Not in. I don't think that the people in this government and the government that we have right now are interested in talking about the reality of the non-human intelligent presence. That's what I'm starting to think right now. Okay, for the episode, is Earth a zoo with the human race as the main attraction? I asked this question. Is the Earth a zoo where aliens observe humans similarly to how humans view animals and marine life in zoos, nature preserves, and aquariums? 28 votes so far with 15 days left. Let's see. This is pretty close, this one. 13 people, or 46.4%, say no, while 15 people, or 53.6%, say yes. Yeah, you know what? I have to go with the majority on this one. I have to say yes. I mean, the way they do treat us, I mean, they do treat us like the same way we treat animals. So I would have to say yes. I do agree with the majority on this one. It is a zoo. I mean, maybe not the way we have our zoos, right? But in their way, from their point of view, from this NHI point of view, yes, they view us as animals in a zoo, the human race. That's what I think. I mean, we're violent. I mean, they take measures to make sure that we can't do anything to them. They paralyze people. I mean, so yeah, I think that they do view this humans as zoo denizens. That's what I think, yes. Okay, let's see. Okay, for the episode, apparent ET caught on ring camera / South Carolina tree creature discovered in mind-boggling video. I asked this question: what intrigues you more, the Compton ring camera footage or the South Carolina tree creature? 30 votes so far with 16 days left. This one's almost a tie also. 14 people, or 46.7%, say ring camera video, while 16 people, or 53.3%, say the tree creature video. Boy, that's a tough one. I'm not really sure which one I think is more intriguing. I mean, the tree creature one is mysterious, very mysterious, because we just can't, it's just really hard to see what was there. And now we have like a little glimpse of something that's possibly there, something that looks like a face and it's moving the branches. And then, but at the same time, though, you know, the ring camera video, Scott Roeder has done some investigation into this, and I mean, that's inexplicable. I mean, the ring camera video does look like it's an alien creature. Wow, which one do I think is the best one? I think the one, probably I'm going to go with the ring camera one for right now. I'm going to say that one's the more intriguing, even though the tree creature video is just, you know, a very close right behind it. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this one. Okay, for the episode, weird shape-shifting whatchamacallits have arrived / Compton alien video authenticated, I asked this question: have you accepted the reality that there is a non-human intelligence here on Earth that is more advanced than the human race? 34 votes so far. Only one person, or 2.9%, says no, while 33 people, the vast majority, or 97.1%, say yes. Yes, of course, and of course, you know where I stand on this. There's absolutely no question whatsoever. There's something here, and there's absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. We're not alone on this planet. We have evidence that shows that we're not alone. We have a lot of different reports from people, regular people over the decades. I mean, how could you deny it at this point? At this point in time, right? Okay, maybe back in 1952 when people were still doing some investigations, you might have said, I'm not sure, right? But after all of these decades, almost 80 years later since this whole thing blew up, since, back in 1947, I mean, look at the amount of evidence that we have. There's just absolutely no question at this time. And if you're just kidding yourself if you're not accepting it, or you haven't done the research, and all it takes is a little bit of research, and you'll know. All right, you'll know. It doesn't take much. Once you read books like UFOs and a National Security State by Richard Dolan, he's 2 volumes of that. You read stuff like that. You read the books about Roswell by people like written by people like Kevin Randall, Donald Schmitt, Thomas Carey. You read those kinds of books. You read books written by the late Stanton Friedman. I mean, you're going to walk away realizing, wow, yeah, there not only is there something here, but there's been this incredible, vast cover-up that's been ongoing since 1947. There's no question about it. So yeah, people who don't accept it obviously are very, very stubborn, and or haven't done their research. A combination of those kinds of things. I think at this point, everyone should know that there's something here at this point, based on the evidence. I mean, the evidence it just keeps piling up. It doesn't end. We just keep getting more evidence. Like, for instance, the Compton alien, right? That looks like it could be a legitimate situation based on the research now and the investigation by Scott Roeder. So yes. And that's just one little grain of sand in this whole giant investigation that's been conducted by numerous, mostly independent researchers since this all began back in 1947. Okay, and for the episode, absolute proof of ET/NHI makes all other alien/UFO accounts much more believable. I asked this question: do you believe there are alien bases on Earth? 24 votes so far with 18 days left. Okay, 3 people, or 12.5%, say no, while 21 people, or 87.5%, say yes. Okay. I say yes, but now at the same time, I could understand if you don't think that these things are extraterrestrial, then you're not going to believe that there wouldn't be alien bases on here. Like, for instance, if you think that Christopher Noll's hypothesis is the correct one, or that they're interdimensional or anything to that effect, then you're probably not going to believe that there are alien bases on Earth. I think that there are alien bases on Earth. Does that make me right? No, it doesn't make me right, but I agree with the majority. I think that there are alien bases on Earth. I believe that there has to be alien bases on Earth. That's what I think. Okay, and then for the most recent episode, a homegrown non-human consciousness, not ETs, is behind the UFO/alien phenomenon, new book argues. I asked this question: am I going to need to change the name of this podcast to Challenger Consciousness Reality? Okay, 31 votes so far with 19 days left. 4 people, or 12.9%, say yes, while the majority, 27 people, or 87.1%, say no. Well, let's put it this way. If I ever do have to change the name of it, I'm probably not going to be here to change that name, because I'll probably be long dead. We're talking probably centuries and multiple centuries into the future, okay? I just don't think, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. In fact, I agree with the majority here. I don't think, even if I were to survive for the next 500 years somehow, I think I'd be able to keep the name of Extraterrestrial Reality, because I think that that's what we're going to learn at some point in the future, that there's no question that these creatures are coming from some other planet. That's what I believe has been going on. I'll tell you what, regarding the hypothesis from Christopher Noll, it reminds me somewhat of the plot of the 1956 science fiction movie Forbidden Planet. In that movie, there was this distant world that gets discovered by a human race, and they discovered that on this planet there used to be this race of beings there that were called the Krell, but they went extinct over one night 200,000 years earlier. But all of their machinery was still intact. They had this incredible machinery that kept on creating power, and they were trying to, they didn't really know at first what the meaning behind all of this was. And then they figured out, like, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but basically what happened with this with this race of alien creatures was the reason they destroyed themselves. They actually created a life, a world without any instrumentalities, where you could just think about what you want, right? You could just imagine what you would want, and like, you know, if you want a drink of something, right, it would appear in your hand, whatever, right? But the problem with that, and they had this machinery that created this energy that would make this possible. So basically, you're just whatever you want, it would just appear. You could just make it happen. Similarly to, in a way, not completely similarly, but somewhat similar to the theory posited by Christopher Noel. You know, but the problem was the reason they went extinct, because at the same time they had their, you know, when they felt any anger or hatred toward any of their others, right, they wouldn't be able to control those thoughts. So they would, if there was somebody they got mad at, they would create a monster that would kill that person, and vice versa. And they ended up destroying themselves basically overnight. Similarly, I think if the human race had that kind of a power, I think we would probably be destroyed pretty quickly. I mean, there'd probably be nothing left very quickly, I would imagine. Now, in Christopher Noel's hypothesis that some other kind of less dense intelligence that basically you wouldn't be able to kill, right? I mean, I don't see how you would be able to destroy it, because it's not like us. It's not as dense as we would be, and they're at a higher frequency. But they want to be like us. They want to learn how to become born like we are and die like we do, right? And they want to have souls like we do. It's a very, very complex and very interesting hypothesis. Again, I can't recommend this book enough. Homegrown Monsters. You gotta check it out. Anyway, I want to say this. I want to say thank you very much for joining me. Until next time.